It was a really cold January day. I was walking my little dog around the streets. It was just almost dusk, not quite dark, but almost dusk, and it was absolutely freezing cold. And I was walking down an alleyway, like a footpath that's normally really busy, but ironically on that particular day, on that particular time, there was nobody around at all. And I'd actually walked past my exit off the footpath, but I was trying to give my dog a little bit longer walk, but then in the end the cold just got to me. It was just absolutely freezing, so I just suddenly stopped and turned around and walked back again, and that was the first time I saw the young man who was at that time behind me. But I didn't take any notice of him. He was just someone that was just behind me. And then I suddenly heard this noise behind me, something, I don't know, it was some noise in the undergrowth or something like that. And I turned round and I suddenly saw the young man again. And I thought that was really strange because I'd stopped and completely changed direction to walk in. Well, I started to feel scared the third time that he actually stopped and I'd stopped, because I knew that it wasn't a coincidence by then. I knew it wasn't my imagination. I knew that there was absolutely, definitely something going to occur. I didn't have a clue what his intentions were. And I just was quite abrupt and said, "What do you want?" And that's when he was walking over to me. And he must have stood probably about 2 feet away from me. And he was a really big chap. He was wearing a school uniform, which was quite peculiar because he was so much taller than me and he was really quite broad. What I hadn't noticed at the time, or hadn't really paid any attention to, was he had his hands cupped around sort of his waist area. And then he slowly moved his arms, really quite slowly, he's moved his arms away. And then I noticed that he was sort of partially undressed and he was exposing himself. And again, it was the strangest thoughts went through my head, it was almost like relief that he wasn't going to mug me or anything. And then it was panic of, oh my goodness, is he going to drag me into the undergrowth? Is he going to rape me? What's going to happen? We had another exchange of words, or more so that I, again, reaffirmed to him exactly what he could do with what he was showing me. And he just literally was doing himself up and trying to run away. Once I got home, again, I was still a little confused as to exactly of the protocol, what you're supposed to do. I mean, because he didn't hurt me or touch me, did anything actually happen? But I was so indignant, again, still, about how he was able to do that. I decided to contact the police. The days after the incident occurred were very difficult. Again, my imagination just kept running away with me. And I think maybe after I'd spoken to different people, and they were really shocked about what had happened, and because the police had taken it so seriously, I think it actually almost confirmed that it was actually quite a serious offence that had happened. And I'm quite a strong, confident person, and it really knocked me for a six. I just felt so responsible in trying to identify the young man, and I just didn't know if he'd hurt anybody else in the past, and I just felt very responsible about needing to make sure that he didn't do it again or anything like that. Once the young man had been apprehended and he'd pleaded guilty, everything stopped, which was, I suppose, the natural progression. And then I just kind of started getting on with my life, really. And I think probably a good 2 months had gone past. And then one day, completely out of the blue, I got a letter through the post. And it was from something called Restorative Justice, which I had never ever heard of. So I read it and reread it, and then I Googled Restorative Justice trying to find out what it was. And it was such a really friendly, approachable letter that I actually wanted to ring this lady up anyway and just find out more information. But once I understood exactly what restorative justice was, for me it was really important that I had my say. In my particular case, and I'm sure this happens to many people, I had absolutely no choice in what happened to me. This young man targeted me, he chose me to be a victim, and I had no say and no choice in that whatsoever. And restorative justice was giving me a choice. And then, unfortunately, I got told some very difficult news. The fact that he was able to refuse to see me. And again, that made me so frustrated, because the whole point of restorative justice is to give me the choice of what I want to do, and yet again he has made the decision for me, and he decided that he didn't want to meet me. But luckily my facilitator was able to offer me a fantastic solution about being able to be videoed, and so that I could still have my say, and he would have to listen to what I had to say, and then he had to make a video back to me so I'd still get to see, and still get to see him, and maybe he would answer some of my questions. One of the questions was he going to rape me? From the impression I got from my facilitator, he didn't really know the impact his actions had on me, and he was apparently quite distraught that I asked such a question. But when you're being followed down a dark pathway by somebody who is exposing themselves, the most natural thing in my mind, and I assume most women's minds, is he's then going to take it even further. After doing the video, it was just so easy doing it that way. But then thinking about it, would I have gone to pieces if I was face to face with him? Would I have got really annoyed? Would I have tried to launch myself across the table and attack him or something like that? So as it transpired, I was really, really comfortable with that decision, and knowing that whatever happened, he would actually get to listen to my point of view. It was good to see him feeling so uncomfortable and so distressed by having to speak to me on the video. And the other thing that happened, which was like the strangest thing, I knew he was a big chap. There was no two ways about it. But I think in my head, I don't know, I'd like made him the size of the Incredible Hulk or something. It was just the strangest thing. And seeing him on this video, he was this tiny, pathetic little person. Yeah, he was still the same height and still the same size, but he actually shrunk right in front of my eyes. Restorative justice was just the best thing that could have ever happened. It was absolutely brilliant, and it just gave me choices that I would never have had before. And I swear he would still be in my head now if it wasn't for restorative justice. And if anything ever triggers a memory back of, now I don't remember him to be this big, scary, horrible man that could have done anything to me. Now I remember him being this tiny, puny, pathetic little person. I have done everything in my power to make sure that he's understood how horrible it was for me. And from what my facilitator has told me, she believes that he genuinely didn't mean to cause me that much distress. And if that is the case, then hopefully he'll find different ways of coping with whatever difficulties that he's having in his life. For me, it was really important that I actually got to have my say, that he dominated everything that had happened to me, but it gave me back control and it gave me back a voice, and he was actually able to listen to me. So although I don't actually forgive him for what he's done, restorative justice has been so successful to me.